Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to episode 3 of Trivela Hour. This week it's just gonna be me and VDT, aka Vedant, one of the most massive RuneScape phenomenons in the history of RuneScape and the Real Madrid Discord server. This week we are gonna be missing one of the puppies, so sorry in advance if the show isn't as good as you're used to, but we're gonna try our best. Vedant, how are you doing, man? What's up with you? What's new?
Okay, so it's been a great week for me. This week, I celebrated my first anniversary with my girlfriend, and we had almost like 4 5 day vacation. So I was celebrating that. Booked a hotel room and everything, and we were like shut in for a couple of days, making Honey Gang proud of us.
So by making us proud, you guys played a lot of raids on RuneScape and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it got nice loot. Leader will be very proud of that, I'm sure.
Okay. And are you guys both like pretty athletic, would you say, and massive, or no, not really?
Yeah, I played I played volleyball in my college team, and like I was confirmed starter. And she's fine too. Yeah, she can play a couple of sports, so we are
Nice.
pretty athletic. Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, that sounds like a fun read, man. I'm a bit jealous. On my end, it was mainly just work and stuff, but here we go. We're at the podcast time, so it's definitely a better time of the week. Let's just kick this off. A lot of topics today. First thing first, we played Osasuna last week, and it did not go according to plan. Not the worst result in the world. Like they were number 5 in the league coming into that match, but not the best either. Let's just start it off with the Vinny goal. Really, really weird goal. He kind of cuts in off on his right foot off that left wing and plays a ball into, I think, Rudiger or Benzema, and it's off target, but the cross goes in. That's just a really, really weird goal there. What are your thoughts on that, like, first goal? Do you think Vinny was intending for the cross, intending for the shot? There was a little bit of debate on that on Twitter. What are your thoughts there?
I think Vinny was definitely going for the cross, like seeing the angle from where he hit the ball and where his intended. Like he showed afterwards also his hand and everything where he's intending, and I think that the ref could have called of the goal, depending on how we see VAR and how we see the offside rules. Like Rudiger was standing and he could have impaired the vision of the goalkeeper and he was in an offside position. So we got a bit lucky there, in my opinion. He could have called off the goal. He couldn't have. It was 50-50 decision. And we got lucky with the goal. It was a free goal. Like, I don't know what Vinny was thinking. If he was going for goal, then hats off to him. Like, it was commendable if he was going for goal actually from there. But I don't think so that he was going for goal there. And it was just a cross that just somehow went in. So thank God that it did.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think like the one big thing there is that Rudiger was clearly offsides and he made a play on the ball. Like I don't think you can argue against that, and we were pretty lucky for it not to be called offsides. Um,
Yeah,
I
if
think
he doesn't like come in the range of the keeper, I'm sure the keeper would have saved the ball. Like if he didn't jump in there, it was not that hard of a shot to save.
exactly. Yeah. Like I feel like as soon as a player is offsides, my interpretation of the rule is as soon as they're offsides, even if they motion towards the ball, it should be considered as an offsides position and the offside should be given. In this case, I think what happened was is that they were like really, really, uh, the rules on this particular rule, I guess, or the interpretation on this particular rule, I've seen a lot of back and forth on it, and I just feel like the refs are very, very inconsistent. Like I've seen that given the same, pretty much same exact thing given as a offsides before. So yeah, interesting first goal, kind of very, no, not kind of, very, very fluky goal. So then we go on to the match, and this match was rather boring. I felt like we were pretty disconnected in attack. They were very disconnected in attack. I mean, Osasuna created very, very, very few chances the entire match. Um, but yeah, another like what, I think 30, 40 minutes go by in the match, and then Kike Garcia scores what is one of the weirdest goals I've ever seen, a backwards header. I mean, for all the talk we do on this podcast about athleticism and leadership, that was a very passionate, athletic type of goal. You know, he did a 360 no scope header. What are your thoughts on that goal? And do you think he intended for that to be a shot on target, or do you think he was trying to play in a teammate? Because I honestly can't tell.
Kike Garcia definitely talked to leader before the match, and he definitely took down some notes on how to improve his targeting. You know, all the RuneScape rates and everything, and his athleticism. So yeah, I think like Kike was intending to hit it towards the goal, but he never meant to hit the ball in that way. And I think Rudiger was on Kike, so he climbed on top of him and he tried to close down the angle best he could. But I don't think he could have done much more. Like that was once in a lifetime goal. I don't think Kike Garcia can score that goal, even if he's getting like 99 other crosses in the same position. So yeah, it was an unlucky goal, and he got it in. So uh, congrats to him, probably.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate, man, that like stuff like this happen. In La Liga, like in some of the seasons have come down to like stupid goals like this, where like some team scores some random goal, takes points away from Real Madrid or Barcelona or Atleti or whatever, you know, and it leads to the league title going one way or another. And I feel like yesterday could have been one of those moments. This race looks very, very close. We'll get into that in a second, but um, I think, you know, if Lunin is maybe 1 foot backwards on his line than where he was, if Kike Garcia is literally hits that ball with any other like 1 inch off part of his head, that's not a goal. It's really unfortunate that that's how they scored. But then again, our goal was also pretty fluky. So I guess you can't complain.
Yeah,
It
I
was
guess
kind of
it.
like karma there.
Yeah,
Um,
and also
but
yeah, Lunin is not like the tallest goalkeeper in the world. Like, he doesn't have the frame advantage that Courtois has. So Lunin has to be pretty accurate with his positioning, like Keylor Navas did at his peak. And Lunin was quite quick off his line, so he missed that opportunity, and that's why the header just placed perfectly, and he missed it completely there.
yeah, it was interesting for sure. But anyways, that goal happens. It's 1-1, and then at this point, we make some substitutions. The game kind of changes a bit. Like up till that point, we had been very kind of low energy. I think that's a good way to put it. And we start to really take the game to Osasuna. We aren't still doing the best in terms of chance creation, but we really do flip a switch in terms of mentality and energy, I guess, or and the positions that we're filling. So we have them push back a little bit, and we end up winning a penalty. Benzema, I forgot who played the ball into the box. It might have been Vinny actually, but someone plays the ball into the box. Benzema tries to bring it down, and he was going to score that goal. He gets pushed down. Osasuna's defender gets a red card, and he goes to the penalty spot. So at this point, Benzema people know his tendencies, right? He's taken a lot of pens, especially over the last 2 years since Ramos left. So it's getting to the point where, you know, they know, okay, he's either going left or he's going middle, and then sometimes Panenka. Um, so like the Osasuna defender, or not defender, goalkeeper kind of stands his ground. Benzema hits it pretty much right down the middle and doesn't even get it on target. Actually, I think he just hits the frame and misses the penalty, and that basically cost us the game. That if he scores that penalty, Osasuna with 10 men, there's no chance they're doing anything there. What are your thoughts on Benzema in general? Like, not the best start to the season, but also in regards to specifically penalty kicks. Do you think he should still be taking them for our team, considering some of the mistakes that he has made in the past?
I still feel that, like, despite the slow start that he's had, like, he still deserves the, what can you say, the merits and the laurels of the previous season are still huge enough for us to carry his burdens, you know, so his bad form for a couple. a few more matches, perhaps, then Carlo can start thinking if he still is in his bad form, maybe about rotations. But a few more matches, like you do not drop your star player when he's going through a rut. You try to allow him to, hit his way through it. You let him score goals. You let him miss some chances. It happens. Like it happens with every player. He pulled us through the Champions League on his back last season, and we cannot expect that from him every season after season. So even if he's through a bad form, a bad form patch, I think he'll go through it. Like if you watch the games, he's not like being mobile. He's not like being stationary the entire time. He's been moving here and there as is like prime Benzema. His movement has been fantastic. His passes have been connecting. It's just that his finishing touch has been lacking. As for the penalties, I think it's less of penalty curse and more of an Osasuna curse because like I read a stat today morning. Like in his whole career, he's missed five penalties. Out of them, three have been against Osasuna. So definitely, Sergio Herrera has done something with him. He's gotten in his head or something like that, and maybe that is an issue. Maybe against Osasuna, we should not let Benzema take penalties, and everywhere else he can take them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you on all of those points. Benzema's Benzema. I mean, there's no real reason to doubt him, at least yet. He just won the Ballon d'Or. I think a bit of a slow start to the season, finishing wise. His movement has been, like you said, maybe not as good as it was at his absolute best last season, but that's fair enough. You know, that peak to maintain that is very hard match on match. But he's been about like 85 to 90% as good as he was last year, just from a movement, passing, link up play perspective. So I think he'll be just fine. I'm just waiting for him to catch some form. He could be a little bit more clinical. He's been a little bit wasteful with chances, but that's okay. I mean, that happens with any striker. Even if we remember Cristiano had spells where um, it was not pretty. Like in 17, 18. I don't know if people remember that season, but Cristiano to start that year, I think he had like three or four league goals by
Yeah.
December.
Yes.
It was really,
Yeah.
really bad.
It was
Uh,
a very bad year to start with, and then he destroyed everybody in the second half of the year.
so with these players, man, these special, alien level talents, you got to just play along. We and Carlo definitely knows this. I mean, last season there was I think a point towards the end of the season where Vinny was not really playing his best throughout the whole match, but he would have his moments because I mean I think it was just collective fatigue, and uh, Carlo just stuck with him. He's like, all right, even if the full 90 minutes isn't good, Vinny's the type of player where like all I really need from him is three moments, and that can win me a match. Benzema's in very much in the same category, and I think his overall base play has been pretty good. When it comes to penalties, I do think that you need to start having a conversation if this continues. I understand that three out of his five misses are against this particular keeper. He also has had, I believe, some misses for France. But in general, I think a team like Real Madrid needs a penalty kick taker who's about 85, 90%. Just given the squad quality, you look around the team and there's so many guys who probably could hit around that number. Like Alaba is one that jumps off the page for me. Rodrigo's another. We have players there. So I think for now you keep it with Benzema. I mean, Benzema in the moments that have mattered has converted the penalty kicks. So until that changes, I think you stay with him. But yeah, I think overall not too worried. That's how our TLDR for both of us. The last thing to talk about with this match, and overall, it's a pretty boring game. One of the most boring games of this season so far. Barca, Spotify, Lever Lona are back on the table.
Level.
How are you feeling about that, man? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's still their honeymoon period. Like they are riding Xavi wave and all of the tactic FC wave, all that pass percentage and everything. But a time will come when even that starts to fall. Like against Mallorca recently, they had 1-0 win, and that was very labored. Like, they had Mallorca had like 5 to 6 chances to kill the game, but they didn't finish, and they could have easily won that game. Against Inter, we saw the same situations. Like they didn't get the penalty they should have. In my opinion, it was a penalty, which also the Ansu Fati goal got disallowed, which I'm not sure why. So that is a different story. But in my opinion, like Barca have problems in the back. The defense is very suspect right now. Frank Kessie is also gone with an injury. So, especially it's in time for Clasico, and they'll have a very weak defense. And against this attack of Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Benzema, I think they'll have a field day if we perform at our current levels. So I'm not that worried. Like every team has some issues. Every team has some strong points. Their strong point is definitely their attack and their strength in their attack, the options they have on the bench. But they have issues in the back. They have issues dealing with transitions, and many teams will exploit it. They haven't played that many tough opponents yet, and the fixture schedule that they have to come is much more difficult. So that will be a real test for them.
Yeah, I tend to agree that I think we are the better team. Still up till this point, we have a more balanced squad. That's basically what it comes down to, and experience as well. I think plays a part there. The one worry I do have is that Barca have built their team to be excellent in La Liga, and what I mean there is that if you can bring the game to Barcelona, like you have a good chance of being able to control the match, being able to score goals, etc. A lot of La Liga teams, though, they just don't have the quality to do that. Like, I mean, if you look around the table, which teams outside of Real Madrid can consistently bring a match to Barcelona? Like maybe Betis, Sociedad stylistically could have maybe been able to do that. It's very few in between. So a lot of these teams are just going to sit back and allow Barcelona to ping balls to Lewandowski, right? So outside of us in the league, they're just not going to have too many opponents who really play into their weaknesses. And you can say the same thing about us too, sure. But overall, that's the part that concerns me going forward is that suppose Real Madrid have a spell where like World Cup happens, we have our injuries, whatever, and we start drawing games because we have depth in attack, but it's like really like four names maybe, right? Like if
Yes,
two
like depth and attack is whatever happens on the first team and Valverde or Rodrigo. That is our depth and attack basically.
yeah. So like if two of those guys are out, and which is kind of a disaster scenario to be fair, but let's say two of those guys go out, we're in a really bad place. Like all of a sudden, I think this team is gonna start having to play 1-0s, try to win games that way. For Barcelona, they just had so much excess because they sold like half of their club to buy players. That's the part that worries me is that if we do have some slight injury problems, we might drop points to these park the bus squads, whereas Barcelona are kind of immune to them. And this has been, weirdly, even though it was a different formula, this has been the case ever since Messi was here too, is that Barcelona always was very, very good at teams against teams that park the bus, whereas that was our weak point. It's kind of changed now. We've gotten better at it, but yeah, that's my main concern. Did you have any other like finishing thoughts on Barcelona here?
How many years has it been since Barca was like top of the table? I think it's like 2018 or something. I read somewhere.
Yeah,
2017, 2018.
18, 19, they won the league. They were top of the table for a brief period of time, I think in 1920 as well,
Ah, sure, okay.
but they
So
didn't
let's
win.
let's let the Barca Twitter boys enjoy this little bit of glory before we take that back again in the Clasico.
Oh yeah, man, it was
The-
funny. As soon as we drew the match, literally my entire like fucking Instagram feed was like all the stories were just Barca Twitter boys being like, "Dude, we're back, DNA,"
We're back.
like
Yeah, yeah. Xavi Paul, let's go.
Xavi all bro, DNA masterclass. I'm just like, come on, bro, like. This is just like you guys are treating it like you just won like four UCLs in a row. Like it's pathetic. I mean, I guess, considering they sold like 90% of the club to Joe Rogan, it's a good experience for them, finally being on top. Anyways,
Laporta sold all those levels, pulled all those levels only to get relegated to Europa League.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before we get into the Shakhtar match, I also want to talk about that. That was hilarious, dude. That was the most dodgy refereeing. Did you see Inzaghi's face? Like his like
Yeah,
concerned
yeah,
frog.
yeah.
He had the concerned
That
frog
meme.
face, bro.
That meme.
Yeah, that was so funny. That for anyone who didn't watch the match, Inter should have they were winning 1-0, 90 something minute, and Barca play a ball in, and Inter's right back Dumfries basically just swats the ball down with his hand. I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration there, and it's not given as a pen. So Barca kind of got
I
robbed. I'm not
think
gonna lie.
Dumfries had a clear handball. I think, in my opinion, from what I've seen, it was a clear handball. I don't know why Reds didn't give it.
Yeah, I agree. It was a clear handball. No argument for me. But it's still really funny to me that it wasn't given. Um,
Yeah.
and now, yeah, now Barcelona are in a kind of a tough spot. Like they're still probably favorites to come second because they have a home match against Inter next. But a
Inter.
draw
Yeah.
there, if they draw there, then like it's not looking good for them to qualify for the round of 16. But still, lot to talk about in this episode of Trivela Hour. So, going next, I think before we go into the Shakhtar game, let's take some viewer questions and kind of spread them out. Um, one of the cool questions we got this week, and thanks for everyone who submitted them. First one is going to be from Frosty, and he asked, "Who is someone you got close to recently, and how did you get close?" I'll let you take that first.
Recently, as in how recent are we keeping this?
Whatever your interpretation is, honestly, like whatever you think is.
Sure. So I like my job has me changing my locations for like every few months. So I do not actually work under one singular boss. It depends on where the job requirement is moved. So I keep on switching places. Uh, Sometime back I was in Odisha. Now I have shifted to Kolkata, and I met my new boss, my new colleagues recently due to shifting to Kolkata now, and it's been a great experience. Like I got to know about the culture in this great city. In this city, it's not great city, but it's a nice city. I got to know about the culture. I got to know about the people, and it's been fun. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. For me, I think like I would say honestly, the Trivella Hour gang, man. It's been nice making these podcasts over the last few weeks and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
getting to know you and Steezy. So that's been fun for sure. Um,
Man, I see us like the way we interact. It feels like we've known each other for so long. It's like Alaba and the Real Madrid connection, you know. The
yeah,
first
yeah,
game together, and it feels like we've been talking to each other for years. So I don't count that. Tell
yeah.
something different.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It was really interesting. Like for people that don't know that initial podcast that we shot, that was the first time we had basically talked to each other. So, yeah, good chemistry in general. Next question I wanted to cover is, and this is one that I will only let Vedant cover. Not I'm not going to take it. Chunks asks, would you rather pick spending time with your girlfriend or with your homies?
Oh man. Oh. Hey, that's not fair.
You're on the spot now.
Uh, ah, fuck.
If you really want, you can pass. I mean, let's just say we appreciate everyone, you know? That's a
Yeah,
politically
yeah,
correct
yeah. Due
answer.
to due to due to logistical problems and issues back home, I can't answer this question. Due to some special listeners to this podcast, I cannot answer this question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. All right, we have some more questions for later, but let's jump back into the footy talk. Shakhtar. We played them again for what feels like the 700th time in a row. Um, this is a cool match. I feel like, just an excellent start to the game, go up 2-0, chance creation all over the place. Like it's like we're looking like one of those prime Real Madrid Mourinho era or like 14-15 beginning of the season teams where everything's clicking, the link up play is fantastic. Rodrigo and Vinny both have like nice goals, especially Vinicius's goal. That was some great build up, huge chain of passes, short. Like we were showing the Barca DNA. Like that was some great tiki taka play for that second goal. Um, so yeah, thoughts on that like first 30, 35 minutes, which was just Real Madrid creating chance after chance?
I think the Shakhtar game, the link-up play and attacking play was some of the best I've seen so far this season from us. The team dynamic definitely changed with Valverde, Cruz, and Tchouaméni playing together after the Osasuna game. Shakhtar didn't defend in the first half as well as Osasuna did. Osasuna's block was really low and very sharp, and Shakhtar left a lot of spaces open. They tried to semi-press our team, but they couldn't completely do it. The goalkeeper was not that good on the ball, and our press for once was working quite well. Like our attack was pressing quite well. Our midfield was cooperating with them. Our overall shape in the first half was looking quite good. The 4-4-2 was looking quite good. Rodrigo and Vinicius on both the flanks. Rodrigo was playing much more centrally, which was good to see. Like Benzema and Rodrigo were shifting in the central positions, and it was nice seeing the three guys link up together. The second goal was just so classy, man. Benzema's link up with Vinicius and those one-touch passes, and Vinicius finish so good to see. Rodrigo's goal was a bit lucky, like he mistimed the ball and then it bounced off of defender and then he got it again and then he shot. So that was a bit of a lucky goal, but Vinicius' goal was so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it was just awesome play all around. I think this 4-2-4 type of setup, which is what I'm going to call it, because yes, Fede was technically deployed in the midfield, but for a large portion of this match, we were playing 4-4-2, 4-2-4, where Vinny and Fede were hugging the sidelines, and Rodrigo and Benzema were interchanging inside, and then Cruz and Tchouaméni kind of played in double pivot. I feel like this is a very, very good setup for the smaller clubs, which is kind of what people have been saying, right? Is that let's play Fede and Rodrigo together and maybe leave Modric on the bench. I think Modric is, undoubtedly very, very useful for this team still. But against some of the teams that park the bus, like, do you really need like, three direct midfielders against them? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So I really did like this setup. But yeah, after a great first 35 minutes, completely against the run of play, Shakhtar go and score this, really good goal, to be honest. It was a great take by their player. It was like a in-air like volley while he was like falling down. Not quite a bicycle, but like, he was like basically sideways when he hit it.
Kind of like a scorpion, like, not scorpion, like sideways volley from his shins.
Yeah, yeah, and it was a great finish. Like good, he put the ball in the right place and like
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So all credit to
I'll tell
Shakhtar
you
there.
about
That
that.
was a good bit of play. But that is not possible without the lapse in defense. Like in that transition sequence, and this has been a theme all season, is that our center halves are just not tracking runs. Our midfield is not able to get back in time, et cetera, right? Whatever the issue is, sometimes it's fullback, sometimes it's the CB, sometimes it's DM, whatever. I think on this one, Alaba kind of did lose that runner. Like he had him marked and then wandered way too far off of him. You could also blame maybe Mendy for not getting back so he could cover for Alaba, whatever it is. Um, this is another mistake, and this has been a trend this season, is that we are making a lot of mistakes and lapse in judgment in our back line, which is why I don't think we have a single clean sheet yet, or we have like one or two out of all the matches. Like we're
We
getting
have two in UC. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we have two in the Champions League, but like outside of that, it's been really quite poor, and we usually do make a mistake almost every single game.
Yeah.
How worried
Yeah.
are you about this? Because against better teams, these mistakes will be punished a lot more. What are your thoughts?
I think that this is a part of like trying to be more aggressive against the smaller teams. We will not play that compact. As you said, the 4-4 formation is like quite open, quite expansive. We try to move the ball faster. We try to create more chaos, and that leaves us more vulnerable at the back. Against the bigger teams, I think we'll play more compact, like we saw in City last year, like we saw in Chelsea last year. So I don't think we'll leak that many goals at that time. About the individual mistakes, I think some of them have to be addressed by Carlo. Like these things cannot happen at this level. Alaba, like in the Shakhtar goal, Alaba did not mark his runner, and he was left completely unmarked in the box, and he had all the time in the world to take his shot. So he placed it perfectly, but he had so much time that he could have even controlled the ball and then shot it. So Alaba completely fluffed his lines. Carvajal let the cross grow in too easily. Like he did not even attempt to block the cross. He just watched as the ball went over him. Mondi didn't do enough to track his runner. So all in all, it was a complete lapse in defense from a lapse in concentration from my entire defensive line. And I think that Carlo needs to talk to them. Like they need to stop like trying to control the match after 2, 3 goals. That's what I see a trend happening. That after 2, 3 goals, the players try to control the match too much, try to maintain the stamina, try to shut shop. But that's not how everything works. Like 1 goal or 2 goals can change the rhythm of the match quite quickly. Like momentum is a big thing in such games. And yeah, so they should focus more and finish the games as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with you on that because it's just when you think about it, right? Like, suppose you do go for that. Let's control the game after scoring 2 goals. Kind of like we did against Chelsea in the first leg. I don't know if people remember that. Is that we came out first half just scoring goals left and right, and then the second half we kind of just took a very conservative approach and ended up working out. But when you do sit back, when you do invite pressure, when you try to just play the ball around against the best teams, that's really not going to work extremely well on a consistent basis. I think last season we were seeing peak performances from all of our players and it worked out. And I'm not criticizing any of the tactics that we deployed last season because what we accomplished was phenomenal. But if you do invite pressure and if you do give the likes of, let's say a Lewandowski, Messi, Mbappe, whoever, like chances, it's not going to bode well for you. And these lapses in judgment is something that I am pretty worried about because even when you do play a conservative approach to the game, you still need to track runs, which is kind of what this is coming down to. So I do think this is one of the weak points for our team right now. It's not like a super big deal where I would be worrying and losing sleep over it if I was Carlo Ancelotti, but it's something that you definitely do want to cover and bring up. So yeah, I think overall, it was just this goal, the Shakhtar goal came down to a lapse in judgment from our back line. Moving onwards with the match, but you had something to add there?
Yeah, yeah. It's just that I think Kalu needs to address two main issues. First is that our team usually breaks down quite easily. Like inside the box, many times we've seen our team break down. Like even in corners or the set pieces, or even when the ball comes in from crosses, we fail to track runners, and sometimes our centre backs forget to track runners. Sometimes the crosses come in too easily. Maybe Rudiger can solve that problem, maybe not. That Carlo has to address. And second is the press of the team. So our collective press breaks down on so many occasions. It's become a meme at this point. Like for some time, our press works so well. We press with our entire collective team. Sometimes one or two players are pressing, the rest are staying back, and it's complete mayhem. So Carlo needs to address that as well because if we go with a disjointed press, we won last year, but we may not win every year. Like the team needs to have a collective identity, a little bit, not like Pep type controlling collective identity, but a little bit of organized press or something to help us in the bigger matches. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think those are solid points. Just moving forward with the match, I think we talked about some of the finishing woes during the Osasuna thing and some of that. I think it's just a form thing. I'm gonna quickly skip over this. There's no real big issue. I think these things will just improve over the course of the season. Don't look into the finishing so
Yeah,
much. Just
Just give Benzema his breathing room, and he'll shut everyone up again.
exactly. I wanted to also cover Cruz and Mondi this game. I mean, I think those two guys, Rodrigo won man of the match, but I think those were our two best players today. So many different sequences where they would win the ball back, they would play really good passes. Mondi was having one of his best like attacking third games today, like I've ever seen him play for us. Like, uh, he played a few good crosses which weren't scored, but still he was playing really well. Had I don't know if you remember, but he had one run there in the second half where he basically just dribbled like Shakhtar's entire team and then played like some
Yeah,
lateral
yeah,
pass. But it's just so funny
yeah.
watching him dribble because it's like kind of like Casemiro where like if you dribble someone, you're just like, wait, what? It's like
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
doesn't look natural at
It-
all, that natural.
he's so
But
awkward on the ball. He's so awkward on the ball.
but it worked and he was playing really well. I think Cruz this season, this arguably might be the best I've ever seen him play. I mean, I know kind of sounds insane to say because he's had such an illustrious career, but really he's hitting a new level. And I think right now he's like one of the most undroppable players on our team, just kind of like in the same line as like Fede or someone like that, because what he does in terms of distribution, what would happen is whenever we would lose the ball, Cruz would intelligently time. He's not the fastest guy, so he would just kind of wait around, wait for Shakhtar to make one slight mistake and go press it and recover the ball. And as soon as we would recover the ball, he would have the ball sprayed somewhere so that we can continue our attack and keep pushing Shakhtar back into their box. I mean, this was a truly masterclass performance from Cruz. And Mendy too. Mendy was doing a lot of the same type of stuff in terms of being able to control the pitch. So yeah, did you have any thoughts on those two before we went on?
Not on this game particular, but I wanted to talk about the Osasuna game. Like, I'm not sure why Carlos subbed out Cruz. I think Cruz was great in that game as well. Maybe he wanted more chaos in that game, but I think subbing out Cruz in that game was a mistake. If Cruz was on, maybe we could have had better opportunities to break the block at that time. Who knows? But yeah, was great last game. His ball carrying was tremendous, and Cruz is just he's phenomenal. I don't know what else to say. Like he's just hitting new levels, and if this is his swan song season, if it's his last season, then what a way to go out at soccer.
Yeah, yeah, it's truly amazing. I hope he stays for longer because he's at such a high level right now. But if he decided to move on, nobody can blame him. I mean, he's done everything there is to do. Um, Moving forward, last footy related topic for the show is we're in a really good position in this group, 9 out of 9 points. When do you think we should start considering rotating some of these players and, giving guys a break so we can focus more on the league and focus on closing out the first half of the season strong before the World Cup?
I think that Carlo has been pretty spot on with his rotation so far. Like he hasn't overworked any of his players. Even Benzema has got some rest now. Modric has got some rest. Most of the key players have got some rest. So I think Vinicius would be the only one who's been overworked so far, and I think Rodrigo is a good replacement for him. I think one more win against Shakhtar. If we win it next game, I think we'll be good to go. I think we'll have qualified by then, and if we one more win and we'll one more result for us, and we'll clinch first place. So I think one more win against Shakhtar if it happens, Carlo can start already.
Yeah, yeah. If I would like, from a Real Madrid fan perspective, next match day, just hope for us to beat Shakhtar, obviously, and then hope for a draw in the other game because I think that more or less just wins us first place at that point. I could be the math might be a little off, but you get my point. All right, cool. Yeah, that's everything that we had for footy today. A few more viewer questions before we wrap up here. Another question from Chunks: Who is your GOAT, Messi or Ronaldo? And honestly, anyone else? Like, who do you have?
Uh, this is my goat. Hmm, probably like even though I'm a Real Madrid fan, probably Messi. Yeah, I mean, the stuff that Messi does is just impossible at this point. Like the even yesterday's game, like PSG drew 1-1. Yet the way Messi played was just phenomenal. He's just levels above everybody else. And he plays in a team with Mbappe and Neymar, and he's still the best player in that team, even at this age. So I think he's just a level above every other football player in the world. There's just no comparison with Messi, in my opinion. And I might get a lot of hate for this, but yeah, in my opinion, Messi is the better player.
Yeah, I think career-wise, you have to go Messi. It's just insane because he he plays in such a deeper position to Ronaldo. Like, over the course of his career. At first, Ronaldo played a bit deeper with United and Sporting, but back then his goals and assist numbers weren't as high as like Messi's were playing from the same position. He plays so deep, yet he basically outscored Ronaldo like most of the seasons that that they were both in La Liga, like despite playing that much deeper in attack. So it's just insane. He impacts the game in so many different ways. I think he is the GOAT. It pains me to say that because Cristiano, what he did for Real Madrid and what he accomplished in that 4 out of 5 UCL run is just something that not even Messi could accomplish, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and and he
Like
was he
Cristiano
was
had
amazing.
possibly the best single UCL season ever. Like, that is nobody's taking that away from him.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think there are some younger fans that watch our podcast from the Real Madrid Junior server. I don't even know like what the best comparison for that would be, but it would be like
Only
uh
Benzema, like last season, Benzema last season could be a fair comparison, probably. Like the carry job that Benzema did.
yeah, yeah, I think that would be pretty similar. That's a good shot actually. I think kind of like what like Holland has been doing right now is like what
Yeah.
prime CR7 used to be, like where like every weekend you like look at ESPN scoreboard or whatever and you just see yeah, Holland 3 goals. It's like that's how Cristiano
Yeah.
was. And Cristiano
Yeah.
used to impact the game in other ways too. Like he used to get a fair amount of assists. He used to do decent link up with everyone and all of that. But Messi was an entire other beast. It would be like almost as if I don't want to say like Modric's position because Modric is deeper than Messi, but like you get what I mean. Messi almost played like in the midfield like at times, and to score that many goals, get that many assists from that deep of a position, insane. I think he's the goat. If you want to argue in Champions League only, then I think Cristiano has a really good case for the goat of the Champions League, considering he has done so much more in the knockout stages than Messi has. So I'll be willing to hear that out. But overall, like everything included, because there's 38 club games and you play like what maximum 12 Champions League matches. So overall, I think uh, Messi is the goat. But
Yeah, and
mhm,
like Messi has done more for Barcelona than Ronaldo has done for any single club. Like Ronaldo has been through so many clubs now. Messi has done much more for his club, Barcelona, that we can call him a one club man, and it's like it's a bit of history. It's something is there in that. It's a romantic story. One club man, he scores for his team, everything. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just one more point on that before we move on. Is a lot of people back in the day, like, not that back in the day, but maybe 6, 7 years ago, considered Eden Hazard a like top 5 player, right? And I don't think that's a hot take. The gap between Hazard and Messi was basically Messi did everything Hazard did because Hazard was one of the best at dropping deep, collecting the ball, and progressing it. Messi did all of that, and Messi also outscored Ronaldo at the same time. That's just the best way I think I can summarize this is he did all the build-up play work that a top 3 to 4 player in the world used to do, along with all the scoring work as like the second best player in the world did. Insane, insane player. Um,
Well, Prime Messi was so good that Prime Neymar had to move to PSG just to move out of his shadow. That's how good Prime Messi was.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to get turn this into a Barca DNA podcast, so that's where I'm gonna leave it. But
Okay,
uh,
yeah, let's move.
okay, moving on to the last question here. This one's from Aaron, so thanks for your question first of all. He asked, as far as I know, the podcast so far is footy and server drama coverage to an extent. Do you guys plan on expanding your topic pool? And if so, what other topics would you like to cover? I'll take this one first. I think for right now, we're just trying to gauge our footing. So we need to first build like a good base of, consistent listeners. And thanks everyone, first of all, for your support. We've been completely mind blowing our expectations right now. Like we honestly expected like for some context. I think the week before the first episode release, Vedant, I remember saying like something like, if we get 10 views, I'll consider that a win. Is that what I said? Right? Like it was something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And
10
now
views,
we're
5 likes. That's a big W for us.
Yeah. And you guys went and got like 100 views on the episode with like 10 likes, and we got like 10 subscribers in the first week. So really, really been awesome. So I think for us, like if you want us to cover other things, we're more than down. Like this is a completely like community-based podcast. So I would be down to cover like literally anything. Like I know Sponge asked us a question about F1. Hey, I don't know anything about F1, but if that's what the community wants us to cover, I will literally talk about F1 for 3 hours. All I know is cars go vroom, but I will still try to cover it. So
we'll,
yeah,
we'll,
whatever you guys want us to cover. Go ahead, Vedant. Sorry.
we'll cover She-Hulk if you want. Yeah, if the community wants us to watch and sit through She-Hulk, we'll do that too.
Hey, I'll tell you guys what. If you guys get 30 likes on this episode, we will have a 20-minute She-Hulk segment on the giving a artistic feedback on the series for the next episode. Is that okay? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, sure, fine.
All
I'm
right,
down for it.
let's do it.
I
20
mean,
likes, guys.
I wanted to watch the masterpiece anyway. So added bonus.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, that's everything that I had planned for this show. Again, everyone
But
who
we only
listened,
got 5 questions.
yeah, we only got 5 questions this time.
Ah,
So
come on, guys. Come on, guys. You can do better than that. Come on.
yeah, yeah,
Fill
come
that
on.
comment section.
Yeah, this time in the comment section, like we need to start like playing towards the algorithm a bit. So I want everyone to just even like first of all like the video, and then secondly, even if you don't have anything to comment, literally comment a letter. Or if you see someone else's comment, reply with like a letter. We need to gauge this algorithm. We need to boost the podcast, get more views on it, get more exposure. Um, so that and obviously get the likes in so that we watch She-Hulk. That should be your goal for this week is to force us to watch She-Hulk. And I'm speaking for all the hosts. We'll have to do it. So thanks again for your um, for your support. You guys are completely blowing expectations out of the water. This has been awesome. It's so much fun making this with the Trivela Hour gang. So yeah, that's episode 3. Thanks everyone. Appreciate it, and I hope
Love
you
you all.
have yeah, sorry, go ahead, Vedant.
No, I was just saying, we love you all, guys. And thanks for the support.
Yes, yes, we do for sure. All right, take care, everyone. Hope you have a good day.